Good evening. This is Crash Talk. I'm Mike Harber, your host, and I'm glad you're back. Last week we had an episode with a friend of mine, Rocco Avellini, an adjuster and an expert, been around the block. As I said last week, if you missed last week's session, our episode last week, you probably should go back and listen to it behind closed doors. And tonight, we're going to talk about the second accident. So stay tuned, and we're going to take a look at what happens in that second accident. And what am I talking about? You're going to have to stay tuned. But first, my disclaimer, neither I, Mike Harber, any of my employees at Harber Appraisal, Crash Talk, or my guest tonight, none of us will be giving any legal advice. We're not attorneys. If you need legal advice, you need to seek that from a practicing attorney in your area. And what we're going to talk about tonight, though, is really probably what it's all about. You want to make sure you don't have the second accident. So with that, let's turn it over to Rocco and see just what happened in this case that he was involved in several years back.
Rocco, you're back, and we had a great time last week. And again, it's so good to have a chance to talk to you again. I mean, both of us have been busy going in different directions, but we're doing the same thing. We're helping consumers. And
their collision repairs.
Yeah, last week we kind of talked about some of the basics. I hope people go back, and if they didn't see last week, they go back and listen, because you gave some really good pointers on things that people need to do. Use your own insurance company. Don't be using the other parties. Make sure you save the money that's available from the at-fault party so you can use it for your benefit and not let the insurance company take the money first.
And basically what you'll be doing is using it for your additional out-of-pocket expenses, such as a comparable rental car. In reality, you're actually allowed to recover time off from work that you took. Basically, anything that you've done out of the course of your normal day to deal with the negligence of the at-fault driver is a recoverable cost. And then above that, it may be the inherent loss of value to your car, because when your car gets into an accident, it loses money. That's exactly what Carfax and Auto Checks tells you is happening. If your car has a brand on it for an accident, a theft, a fire, whatever, it's losing money.
Yes, absolutely. And this isn't free money. That's part of the thing too. Insurers try to make people feel guilty about
like
making
the rates are going to go up.
Or just that you're trying to get something for nothing. You're trying to work the system. You put the neck brace on, and the last thing I would ever recommend anybody do is to try to make something out of nothing. But forget about your injury claim. There's all kinds of recoverable expenses in an accident that nobody tells them. Like you said, your lost wages from work, your replacement value of the vehicle on a daily basis, loss of use, diminished value, and a proper repair of your vehicle with original equipment parts, not Taiwanese pieces. So, all right, give us a little bit of the background on this one that went to trial. Very interesting case, and you probably saved somebody's life.
Well, basically, it was a 2009, 2010, I believe, Ultima. This woman had worked in Riverside, California, and took a car had a serious rear end collision, and took the car to a shop. A couple of months after she got the car out of the shop, she went to get her oil changed, and fortunately, the oil change person or oil change technician had enough knowledge to identify what was wrong with this vehicle and told her that she needed to address it. Went back to the shop, they blew her off, and then she found an attorney that I did work for. And basically what we did, it was a contractual agreement. That's what happens in these cases. Insurance company indemnifies you for the damage. You go and enter into a contract with the collision repair. When you get into an accident, basically two contracts begin. Your insurance company to indemnify you, and then you take that money and go to the repair facility and enter into a contract for vehicle repair. At that point, the insurance company has no standing in the repair at all. They can't tell the shop to fix the car, a $10,000 loss for $8,000. They can't do it. So,
well, they do what they no.
They try to do it, but they can't.
They don't have the authority because if they can lie and they can intimidate and scare people, then they do get away with it. And so that's the purpose. That's the purpose of Crash Talk. We're trying to let people know what their rights are and how to stand up. So anyway, go.
I was in it happened to me. The state of California sued me for when I sold my shop and I was doing this full time. They sued me for running a business without a license, and basically it was a criminal offense. They filed a criminal offense against me. I had to get a criminal attorney to go and deal with this. And basically what happened was, Michael, is that, you know, we asked them, if an insurance company goes into a shop that has a $10,000 estimate for a consumer and forces that shop to fix the car for $8,000, what is the liability? This is the Bureau of Automotive Repair in California director said this. It's an interference with the contractual agreement between the body shop and the client. And I said to him, our attorney said to him, well, how could an insurance company do that? You ready? They have to get a signed power of attorney to talk to the body shop because they are dealing with a monetary contract. In order for anybody to do that, they have to have the authorization of the person that signed the repair order at the shop. They just entered into a monetary contractual agreement with that body shop. In order for anybody to interfere with that, they have to get the power of attorney from the consumer to give to the insurance company for them to go to the shop and say, you know what? We're not fixing this $10,000 loss. We're only fixing it for $8,000. How's that?
Well,
yeah, I know. I know.
Well, so what's happened? I mean, have things changed in California?
No, it's the lack of knowledge. People don't know that, Michael. You know, people just don't know that. It's not a collision policy is not like an HMO policy. When you buy collision insurance, they don't give you a book that says you have to go here like they do in an HMO or a PPO. You don't get anything like that. You get an insurance policy with all the inclusions and exclusions. None of them say that we can interfere with your contract. If you go to a HMO or PPO, it says that we can interfere. It doesn't say interfere, but we can negotiate the cost of the patient care in an HMO or PPO. It says that. In an automobile policy, it doesn't. So that's what they told me. People don't know that. They don't understand that.
So to assert your rights and understanding that, because we know what the insurance companies do. They violate that every single day.
All the time. All the time. Yeah. It's a gimme.
And the Office of Insurance Commissioner will do nothing.
Oh, absolutely. They're a fence-sitting organization. They don't do anything at all.
It should be the office, instead of, you know, offer of consumer protection, it should be Office of Insurance Protection. They seem like
the Office of Consumer Affairs are what they're listed at. Yep.
Well, let's get on. I can see that we could easily do another show talking about stuff that you're so full of knowledge. And I know you told me that you're getting close to retirement, but I think it might be like me. I don't know if they're going to let you, Rocco.
Right, exactly. And unfortunately, the more abusive insurance companies get, the more work we get. Unfortunately.
True story.
Yeah.
True story. True story.
Yep.
Well, okay, so you're gonna show us some pictures, and then you're gonna try to describe to, again, remember, people that are watching this maybe have no experience at all, and they're not even gonna know what they're looking at or what they're looking at.
Okay.
So let's start out. We're gonna show us just a picture of this car from about 20 feet away.
Yep.
And
It's
and
basically the left front view of the car. And the woman worked in the buildings behind the gray Ultima that you see there.
okay, all right. So it looks pretty good to me.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, you go pick your car up, get in it, turn the key, and you drive away, right?
That's
you don't
right.
think twice about it.
And the most important thing, if a body shop asks you to sign something that you're satisfied with the repairs, absolutely not. Do not do that, and they'll use it against you.
Yep.
Where's the next one? What do you want to go to? I believe it's the next one is going to be. We're looking here at the rear trunk lid of the vehicle.
Now,
And
can you give me the number? What's the number of the photograph?
we're looking at 9721.
Okay. And so tell us. So what's the significance of what we're looking at?
Well, basically what they did was this is the trunk hinge, and we have pictures of both of them. They did the same thing. Instead of replacing this trunk hinge, what they did was they heated it with a torch and bent it back to where it was supposed to be.
Does that work?
No, absolutely not. The hinge should have been replaced on the vehicle. It was written for being replaced in the estimate. So.
Oh, so now we've got a potential fraud issue too.
Yeah, and that's why they settled the case. Exactly. They knew they were, our surprise was as they went so far into the trial before they knew that they were done. So let me get to another one.
Give me the number.
All right. We're going to look at 9731.
Okay.
What we're looking at here is the left quarter panel, inner panel. And what you're seeing there is you'll see the actual Nissan label when they bought it new and where they welded it to the floor panel of the car. And
now let me, and again, just trying to step back, because we're looking at pictures and you and I know exactly what we're looking at. And it's interesting because a lot of times people don't even understand the difference between a fender and a quarter panel. The quarter panels are in the rear.
The rear of the car.
And what's important, and we probably do a whole session on this. Why is all this important? This is a unibody constructed vehicle. It's on the same concept as an aircraft. So the shape and all those panels, the way that they're made and they're welded together, creates the strength, the structural integrity, and that's what protects you in an accident. So it's I can't even stress how important when you do a repair that it's done properly with the number of welds, with the welds so they don't deteriorate over time, so they don't rust, because a weld is melting metal together.
And you'll see in this picture, you'll see the rust form on the welds. In layman's terms, Michael, basically what happens is in a unitized vehicle, they have front and rear crumple zones. And those zones are designed crash test after crash test. The manufacturer knows after crash test in what direction the structural components go in an accident. That's why they crash them. Front end, side end, right side, left side, rear side. They know where those structural components are going to go. That's why they have the convolutions in the structural components, because they collapse in a certain way. They're designed to go upward, downward, inward, outward, but they are never designed to go into the passenger cabin. And in this case, when these wells and these improperly repaired structural components, this rear crunch zone or collapse zone will never respond like it was supposed to when the manufacturer designed it. It's just that simple.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Let's go to another. Let's go to 9741.
9741.
All right. And basically what we're looking at here, I talked to you about the crunch zones and the passenger cabin. If you look here on this one to the right red box on the top, this is the new inner quarter panel, the rear inner quarter panel that they put on. The lower left box is the beginning of the passenger compartment. And you'll see because of the way these welds are done, they're improper. There's lacking of penetration on the weld. There's no corrosion protection, no seam sealer. And there's, like you mentioned before, there's rust beginning to form already. If this car gets into another rear end collision, it's over. This person, the people in the passenger compartment, especially someone in the back, is going to get hurt, if not killed.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let me go to a few more. Let's go to 9751.
Okay.
And basically what we're looking at here is that another piece of the fraud, because they were supposed to replace this, we're looking at the rear bumper extension on the car. And basically what you're looking at is they use the old extension instead of putting a new extension on the car. And you can see it's already collapsed and worthless in an accident.
Explain the significance and an extension. Try to give us a little bit of an idea. What is it and what's the importance of it?
The extension, the bumper extension, is between the rear body of the car and the rear bumper reinforcement. And basically what it is, it's another section of structural components to absorb the energy when the car gets hit. So there's several layers of it. There's the bumper, there's the absorber, which is styrofoam in many cases. Then they have a steel reinforcement. Then they have in this case, it's probably a 5-inch extension, which is between the reinforcement, the last piece of the bumper assembly, and the rear body of the car. And you'll see that, it's used. They used the original one. They didn't even put a new one on the car, and you can see that it's collapsed already. So it will never react and never respond the way it's supposed to in an accident.
Wow.
Yeah. The next one is, let me see. Let's go to photograph 9779. Basically, this is the other portion, the other side absorber that we're looking at. And you can see that the absorber, this is the body panel that I was talking about. There's like a brown grayish, and then there's looks like there's paint dripping on it. That's the structural side member of the vehicle. And right behind that, you'll see between the black portion and the grayish portion, you'll see the improper welds there. You'll see remaining welding wire. You'll see bad welds between the structural side member and the rear body panel on the car.
So is this what's considered an industry standard repair?
In the beginning, Michael, I used to get really, really upset when I saw things like this. Now I say to myself, what the hell was this technician thinking about when he fixed this car? I don't even want to embarrass myself and say a technician, a body hack. What was he thinking? These are one of the cars that I say, this guy probably spent more time fixing this car wrong than right.
Yeah.
And then he let it out. He let it out the door.
Well, that's what is shocking to me. I mean, this is almost criminal. This is almost criminal.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, if you went and put a gun to somebody's head and you pulled the trigger, we know what that is. But
If you were in Australia, this would be criminal.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It should be It should be criminal.
In Australia and in Europe, you have to carry E&O coverage as a collision technician, errors and omission. So in case something like this goes wrong, the consumer doesn't get caught in the middle of the insurance company in the body shop. It goes right to the person who's responsible, the technician.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? That's something to be worth pushing.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a little bit before we met, but there was a guy, a shop owner that was on that discussion board that I spoke to you about earlier. And we tried to do it in America back then, but it had never happened. The problem is that the insurance company will never pay enough money to the shop so he can pay the technician to absorb all those costs. They can't. It's just impossible.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Was there any last?
That was the last photograph. Yeah.
That was the last photograph?
Well, I have more, but I can go on forever.
I know.
The bottom line here is that this car should have never been given back to the consumer at all. Never.
Well, here's the bottom line. Here's the bottom line. I don't even have enough time to even do this, but people need to have someone with experience, especially if it was a serious accident.
Yeah.
We're even finding now, even on some of the minor, I looked at one here 2 weeks ago. The guy had taken it in, Honda, and he's hurt. The guy's hurt. But he took it into a body shop and they said, well, there's no damage. He was hit in the rear. And they said, well, there's no damage. And you could see, the license plate imprints on the plastic bumper cover. They never bothered to look any further. They saw those two little, and they said, there's really no damage. Just don't worry about it. Well, he's still treating it 2 years. He's hurt. Really, genuinely hurt. And so his attorney said, hey, you need to have this looked at by an expert. We looked at this car. The roof is buckled. And the left rear frame rail is buckled. And it doesn't, on the outside, the gaps kind of look okay.
I got it.
It went in, it did what it was supposed to do. It started to collapse in those areas. And then it pops back out. Yep. And so you look at it and you think, well, there's no damage. Well, now this supports his injury claim because now they can't say, oh, you're making it up because there's no damage. This thing has got structural damage.
Yep.
Anyway.
And not only that, if he gets hit again in the rear, the crumple zones that we spoke about will not respond properly. Yep. Right.
Yeah. No. Rocco, I know you've got another meeting you've got to get to. I sure hope
Let's do this again.
Well, I was going to ask, I don't want to overstep your generosity and your time, but you've got so much up there between those two ears that before you retire, we need to get as much out of it as we can.
You know what, Mike? Like I said, I'm semi-retired, so I got a little more time on my hands, and I'm more than happy to get on with you to help the consumer. So just anytime you want, and as many times as you want.
We will certainly take you up on that.
You got it.
Well, another eye opener, and I hope everybody recognizes how important it is to not have the second accident, not end up going down that rabbit hole, ending up in a shop that is doing things to keep costs down for their insurance partner. And it's also important, if you see anything with your vehicle that you think doesn't look right, you need to get an expert to take a look at it for you, because if you see issues with your vehicle, believe me, it's probably a lot worse than you realize. If the information you've heard here tonight, the information from CrashTalk and our past episodes has been informative, have been helpful, have helped you understand a little bit more of what these insurance claims are all about, please give us a thumbs up, a like, and subscribe. So we can stay connected, lets us know that what we're doing is of help to you. And so with that, and I want to say thank you again to Rocco. We've got some really interesting upcoming episodes with some people that are very, very knowledgeable, and it may be a surprise to hear some of the stories that they're going to have to tell in our future upcoming episodes. So with that, I want to say good night. Thank you for tuning in. Please tell your friends, family about Crash Talk and have them gain some of the insight that maybe you have. So thank you again. Mike Harber. Have a good evening.